Guys, welcome back to another edition of that Fuzzing Rock Show interviews. And man, let me tell you, another banger for you today. Very excited about this one. Let's introduce to the show Mr. Eric AK from Flotsam and Jetsam. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing, man. I don't know how, but I'm doing.
I hear you, man. I hear you for sure. So first, let me welcome you to the show. I appreciate you hanging out with us today. We're going to talk about a ton of stuff, Flotsam Human Condition, and of course, selfishly, we're going to talk about your appearance at the upcoming Extreme Music Awards here in Albany, New York, January 11th at Empire Live. Tickets on sale now. You guys can go to the box office or Ticketmaster, and we will get to all that and then some in just a couple minutes. Uh, let's get right into it, man. So take us back to the early years. What made you want to pursue music as a career?
Yeah, I did my first show when I was 5 years old. I did a solo at like a school concert kind of thing,
Mhm.
and sang some goofy Christmas song. There was about 500 people there, and they went nuts. And I caught the bug that day, and I've had it ever since.
That's awesome, man. Now, as far as when did you know you wanted to be a musician? Were you're just always on that path?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I saw a couple of cover bands locally when I was fresh into high school, I think, and that kind of sparked an interest. And then one day at summer school, because I had to take summer school because you know, dorked around too much at school. So um, I was, of course, ditching class at summer school.
Mhm.
Ran into this guy in the parking lot. We start talking, and next thing you know, he says, "Hey, do you know anybody who can sing? Looking for a singer for my band." And I'm like, sure, I sing some stuff. I'd never heard metal before in my life. And he says, well, why don't you come to rehearsal today and we'll, see what you got, see if you fit, whatever. And that was Kelly Smith. I showed up to rehearsal. It was Kelly, a couple guitar players, Jason Newstead, and that was the first day I had ever heard metal. They played a few songs for me, and then they gave me Number of the Beast and Unleashed in the East and said, here, go home and learn some of these. So that was pretty much where I got into metal anyway, but I've always wanted to sing in front of a band, live, always.
Now, was there ever like a plan B? Did you ever want to be like a fireman or a police officer or a politician or anything?
Well, I've got my helicopter's license, so I've always wanted to be a pilot in some fashion or another. So that was pretty much now it's a hobby, but that was pretty much my fallback. So,
And what about I know you said you'd never heard metal before that day. Let's talk about some of your influences.
um, geez, there's so many and so many different genres. My early influences were, geez, I don't know. I used to listen to a lot of Kansas back in the day. And I mean, these bands, some people could consider them hard rock or almost metal, but not, I don't. Um, Kiss. Um, I think my very first album I ever bought was Elton John's Greatest Hits. So that's pretty much what I listened to all day, every day for right after I bought that record. And once I met Kelly and went and listened to the band a little bit, I've been listening to a lot of metal since then. Of course, that was 35, almost 40 years ago.
Mhm. So now, is there anything out new now that's got your ear? Anything that kind of
I'm trying to think. I really don't, I don't listen to new stuff really. I'm so old school. I'm still listening to Peace of Mind most of the time. So it's uh it's pretty crazy. And a lot of the new metal on, I like the music, but when the vocals come in, I just get discouraged, and it's hard for me to listen to that stuff every day.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I listen to Michael Bublé when I'm working on the car, keeps me calm, keeps me screaming and yelling and throwing things.
Sure.
I listen to Maroon 5 when I'm cleaning up on the house. Like, it's different music for different whatever I'm doing kind of deal.
Now, are you more gravitated towards like vocally influenced music, or
Definitely. I like a lot of female vocalists.
Mhm.
Um, my favorite right now is Sydney Christmas. She was, won the Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah, yeah.
I think she's the new Barbara Streisand. So, vocally anyway.
Mhm.
Um, I listen to pretty much everything. I mean, I listen to some Ginger once in a while. I think she's amazing. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
she's sick. I mean,
yep,
it's
absolutely.
um, geez, I don't know. I listen to pretty much everything. I listen to a lot of right now. I'm listening to a lot of old '70s and '80s stuff
Mhm.
because I'm kind of messing around with this little cover band in town, and we're doing everything from Leo Sayer to Nickelback to whatever. It's a huge eclectic list of stuff, and it's just a lot of fun to sing. Keeps my chops up. So right now I'm listening to a lot of everything.
Now, it's interesting that you say Nickelback. Let me ask you a question. This is just kind of my own curiosity. Do you think those guys get a bad rap?
Yes and no. From what I understand, I really don't know any of the original story of why people hate them so much, but they started off pretty heavy. Um, did the smart thing and went a little more commercial because that's where the damn money is.
Absolutely.
And from what I understand, Chad Kroger's kind of a monster to deal with
Mhm.
for almost anybody.
Right.
And I think it was the hate for him that started the whole Nickelback's horrible thing. But they're really, I mean, if you listen to their songs, they're brilliantly written. They fill arenas for years and years and years now.
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's really a musician thing. Musicians that have dealt with him, that have opened up for him or whatever, just hate his guts. I don't know why, but that's what I've heard. And that's where the whole if you're a musician you have to hate Nickelback thing came from, I think.
Gotcha. So now going back to the start with you guys, and I knew you touched on it briefly. Now, was that when you met him in the parking lot? Was that basically the start of was that basically the start of Flotsam?
Yeah, they gave me a jacket the very next day I came back and learned, I think Victim of Changes, and I learned 22 Acacia Avenue and stuff like that, and a couple weird Twisted Sister songs they were doing.
Mhm.
And yeah, I pretty much nailed them the first day back. And so they took my Levi jacket, and Newstead wrote 2 weeker on it because they were giving me a 2 week trial. But if you look at it, it basically says I'm a tweaker.
Ah,
So, and I still have that jacket. I still wear it on stage once in a while. I cut the sleeves
really?
off, put some
Oh,
patches
that's
on it.
cool.
But
That's
yeah.
cool, man. So now, when you guys first started, you guys went through. This kind of confused me a little bit when I was doing my research for this. You guys had quite a few names right in the beginning till Flotsam and Jetsam finally stuck. Dogs, Dreadlocks, and Paradox. What led you guys to naming the band Flotsam and Jetsam?
When I joined the band, they had just changed the name to the Dogs,
Mhm.
or Dogs, not the Dogs. It's just
Right.
Dogs.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of local club stuff under that name, opening up for bigger bands, or doing Battle of the Bands crap. And We did a lot of that under that name, and then we switched some guitar players because we wanted to upgrade the band and the talent end of it, you know. So
Mhm.
we switched some guitar players, and we figured we better come out with a new name so people weren't thinking it's the same people. So that's when Newstead was reading a J.R. Tolkien book, and Flotsam and Jetsam were a pair of explorers who got lost in the story, and then never to be seen from again. And we started looking up the name. It was, not only wreckage and trash from a wrecked ship, but it also meant like, homeless bag ladies, people who live in the street type of deal. And we thought that the definition both ways kind of fit us pretty good. So we went with Flotsam and Jetsam, and it probably wasn't a good idea. A lot of people don't know what it means, what it is, how to pronounce it, but we kind of stuck with it just because first record we put out under that name and it did great. So that kind of cemented the name in for us.
Yeah, and I remember, and I can remember back because honestly, we're going to talk about that in a second. The first studio album, Doomsday for the Deceiver, 1986, dude. I wore the fucking grooves off that thing, man. I that was one of, still is one of my top 10 favorite albums. Um, and when I saw the name, it just clicked in my head. I'm like, oh, Chaos and Mayhem. That sounds like something I'd be interested. Picked it up, and the rest is history. So let's talk about that for a minute. Do you remember like the recording process? So how you guys went about recording it, and what it was like to be recording your first major album like that?
Yeah, I have a general picture in my mind of what it was like. I don't remember a lot of details.
Mhm.
Um, that was a long time ago, a lot of tours ago, a lot of partying ago, and I was probably messed up the whole time we were there at the time anyway. So it was, we thought we had made it. We thought we were big rock stars. We were in a pro studio in Hollywood, and we were recording our first record, and we just partied pretty much the whole time. But I do remember sitting there for everybody's parts. Um, I remember working with Bill Matoyer, and we used him quite a few times after that because he's
Mhm.
just an amazing producer.
Absolutely.
And I remember just little bits and pieces of stuff. I remember Newstead getting arrested for having a bag of mushrooms in his pocket. I remember all kinds of stuff. I know that we were like, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 dudes in one hotel room, just trashing the place, partying it. It was the only room we rented. So we had, people sleeping on floors and sideways across beds, and whatever it took for all of us to be there and get the job done. But we were partying and having such a good time, it wouldn't have mattered.
Got the one guy sleeping in the bathtub, all that stuff. Definitely like Flotsam and Jetsam for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So now, so after that album, I know it wasn't shortly after that album, but I know that that was the time when Newstead left to go on to other things. Do you remember back when that actually happened? Like, how did you guys get the news? Was he like, "You're not going to believe this," or like how'd that whole thing go down?
I remember Jason coming to practice. Actually, we weren't at practice. We were just hanging out, drinking beers at somebody's house. And he's looking through the paper and he sees this tiny little article about Cliff getting killed in a bus crash.
Hmm.
And we had been listening to, the first Metallica record, trying to decide whether we loved it or hated it. And he reads this article and he says, "Hey, I'm going to be the next bass player for Metallica." And I was just like, "Shut up, dude. You're an idiot." And because he's living on my couch at the time, he was living on the drummer's couch. He was living in our mini storage where we practiced. Um, he was just all he wanted to do is play bass. He didn't have the drive to take care of himself or anything at the time, you know. So um, it was probably a week later, and we came to practice, and he says, "Hey, I got an audition with Metallica." And we're like, "Shut up!" We didn't believe him at all.
Right, man.
And next thing you know, he's coming back saying, "I got a second audition. I'm going back." And then it was pretty much a phone call after that. "Hey, see ya. I'm in Metallica now." But you know, he was pretty much the leader of the band at the time. He did all the business, booked all the gigs,
Mhm.
wrote most of the lyrics. So it was kind of a heavy blow at the time, but all we had to do is pull up our big girl pants and move on. So that's what we did.
So now, since that album, you guys have released 14 more studio albums,
Yeah.
15 in total. The most recent one is "I Am the Weapon" 2024 release. Now, in your opinion, how has Flotsam's sound changed since Doomsday for the Deceiver, if it's changed at all?
It's changed almost every record. Doomsday and No Place are pretty close to the same sound, the same drive, the same, you know, you could kind of tell who it was.
Mhm.
Um, let's see. The Storm album got a little different because we had Troy Gregory writing songs, and he's kind of a weirdo, so things got uh, a little strange as far as lyrically and some of the timing signatures and stuff.
Mhm.
Quattro, we wanted to get a little more. I don't want to say commercially acceptable, but a little more radio friendly, I think.
Sure, sure.
So we started making things a little more simple.
Mhm.
Um, and that album did great. That was our second one on MCA. Um, it sold and did got enough buzz for them to want to do a third one, so we did Drift. That one, I think we grew up a lot right before that one. It
Mhm.
was still on the side of trying to be a little bit radio friendly, but we wanted to have put a little more intelligence in the music and the lyric writing. So that's when we kind of knuckled down and went, you know, this part right here doesn't, we got a little nitpicky, you know, this line right here doesn't make sense, or this one's kind of juvenile or whatever. And we wanted to, you know, just make things a little more professional, a little more. So we really write everything we do for other musicians. We want other musicians to go, "That's fucking badass," you know.
Absolutely.
So, you know, like most bands do. Um,
Sure.
it's when you're not making any money at this, the validation is worth a lot. You know what I mean?
100%. Absolutely.
So those three albums that were on MCA were a little weird for us, and made us grow a lot at the same time. But
Mhm.
it definitely was a completely different sound. Once switched a guitar player again. Mike left and got Mark Simpson in there. That changed the sound all over again. Now we've got, you know, My God record and Dreams of Death and The Cold and very intricate, moody, amazing guitar stuff on those
Mhm.
records.
Mhm.
And that's, you know, most of that was Mark Simpson. Ed Carlson always put his flavor in there. So,
Sure.
um, you know, that was part of the big thing with the first couple of records is Ed Carlson and Mike Gilbert were totally two different styles of guitar player, and their writing was extremely different. And yet, when the rest of us joined in, it kind of made it all Flotsam sounding. You know, um, we kind of have that now. I still have the Mike Gilbert end, and Steve Conley is a little. You know, Mike's very hard, sharp, precise, fast. Um, Steve's a little bit more, maybe not quite as fast, but a little more flavorful. So, anything that Mike's not really good at, Steve is really good at. And, between the two of them, they are quite a defensive wall there that can't be knocked down. So it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. It almost bookends your sound, where you have one that's kind of like punch you in the face, the other one that kind of sneaks up on you, and so it's more like hard over here, melodic over here, and then
Right.
everything mixes in the middle. That's
Right. And it really makes it kind of easier live because I can tell just by styles and tones which guitar I'm hearing doing what.
Mhm,
I don't have to look, I don't have to guess. I don't I can tell when Steve's playing, oh, that's Steve playing, and I can be closing my eyes and tell.
mhm.
So
So now,
it's pretty cool.
of the 15, and we'll put the two live albums in there. So of the 17 albums you guys have out, and I'm not going to include EPs, but of the 17, and I know this is a tough question to answer, but do you have a favorite out of all of those?
I have three favorites that
Okay.
I can't put one before the other.
Mhm.
Drift, The Cold, and the new one. So, I Am the Weapon is, maybe it's just because it's the newest and it's doing extremely well, but it's got something different to it. It's got kind of our new sound, our new direction, but it's also got the intelligence and the professionalism in the writing. It's got it's got everything we've learned over the years basically in it. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it's one of my favorites. The songs are really cool. I really love all the songs on the Drift record. I love most of the songs on the Cold, but I love my writing and my performance on that record more than most. So,
Now, what about, okay, I'm gonna take this one step further, and I probably should stop doing this, but now, do you have a favorite song that you like to sing out of all of them? Do you have a favorite song that you like to sing? It's one of those ones like, yeah, I got to do this one.
wow, that's tough. Um, One that I've sing a lot and we've never done live is Better Off Dead. That one's I like to challenge myself. It's part of my fun of singing is I like to do stuff that's really difficult for me and pull it off. And that one is extremely difficult. Not that it's super high, but there's a lot of long, clean notes in it. There's a
Mhm.
lot of there's a lot of perfect pitch stuff that has to go on in there. And when it comes to singing for me, it's really not all range every time. It's what you do with whatever you're using. And that one I'm pretty proud of vocally. So
Now, speaking of range and all that stuff, you do have a very distinctive voice in the world of metal. You hear your voice, you're pretty much like, that's Eric AK. What's the secret to keeping your voice in good shape?
Jack Daniels and cigarettes. I used to tell people all the time Jack Daniels and cigarettes because if I don't, then I sound like a 12-year-old girl.
Gotcha.
But that's really not the case anymore. I'm 60 this year, and I really have to take care of it. I got to drink the tons and gallons of water, and can't smoke pot on the day I'm singing, stuff like that. So I really have to be careful with it now because I'm afraid it's going to go away at any minute.
Hmm.
But as far as how my voice has grown over the years, I really like it a lot better now than I did in the early years.
Is there something distinctive that you like it better now, or?
It's just a thing of learning what I'm doing. I've been trying to be a professional singer my whole life, and I still don't feel like I'm there. So I constantly want to learn more stuff about the throat and breathing, and you know, and people say, well, there's only so much to learn about that stuff. You should have known a long time ago, but there is so much to learn. Um, I've been studying up on vocal cords and what each part of each muscle does and all that stuff, and I really want to. I'm always striving to get to pro status, even though I think I've been there for quite a few albums now, but I don't. In my head, I'm not there yet. I need to keep. I need to keep going, keep studying, keep learning, keep practicing, keep and it's hard to keep myself on that path. I eat a lot of crap I shouldn't, drink a lot of crap I shouldn't, smoke a lot of crap I shouldn't. So,
You think you're preaching to the choir on that one. I agree with that on that one. I think I do the same thing. Now you've seen a lot in the music scene over the last 30, 40 years, um, which is definitely an impressive thing. Let's talk about a few of these things. I just want to get your opinion on some of them. So the change in media in music from vinyl to cassette to CD, and now everything is digital, and vinyl's making a big comeback, which I think is awesome. But for the most part, CDs and cassettes are obsolete. But cassettes are also starting to punch back. So how did the how did that transition for you guys? Was it a positive thing for you guys, all the going digital, or did you guys have a hard time adjusting to
um, it's took a long time to figure out how to do things. You know what I mean? Nothing was the same. Nobody's selling actual physical product anymore. Nobody's, unless it's at a show, you can sell a few CDs at the merch booth. But
that?
other than that, people don't really buy physical product. Only the hardcores do. And it's a horrible thing to try to navigate through the whole internet world when you're from a time when there was no computers, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And there's 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds that I know personally that whiz through a computer, and I'm like, how do I do this? How do I, and that drives me nuts too. So it's trying to keep a career going on this world of network is it's very daunting. You really don't know which direction to go, and when you get there, you're like, okay, now what do I do? And it's weird to me that young kids know this like it's riding a bike, and yet they can't ride a bike.
Right, right,
you
right,
know
right,
but I can still ride a bike, but I can't go through a computer. So it's all, it's just a new generation of the way things are going to be, and it's just hard to learn it all and what's the best route, and you try to follow somebody else who's doing pretty good at it, and you're like, well, that didn't work either.
right, right.
It's different for everybody, and it's different for every crowd, and it's just amazingly difficult to get through. But in the long run, we're not really here to do this for the money. You know what I mean? We do this basically because we love our songs. We love a lot of other band songs. We really love the lifestyle, and the whole family of the metal industry is just, it's beyond words. You go to these big festivals in Europe, and there's no fights and gang wars and none of that crap. It's just a bunch of metalheads with spikes and saw blades, and they're just having a great time, and they are not there to hurt anybody else or cause any trouble. Not one person in the place. And that, to me, engulfs the whole metal industry family. Everybody's like that. Labels are like that. We just love metal, and we don't really care about the rest of it.
Absolutely.
And that's really why we do this. The same reason why any other band in our position or slightly above us or slightly below us does it, it's because it's a lifestyle and you have to love it because there really is not a lot of money in it. I mean, you can make a living if you really are smart, know what you're doing,
Sure.
but for the most part, it's just for the love of the music and the lifestyle and the community of metal.
100% agree on that. So what about like, and I hate even bringing this up, but I'm kind of curious about this. We had obviously the pandemic was a big hit on the music industry. How did that affect Flotsam, other than like not being able to tour or play live anywhere or anything like that? How did that affect the band?
Yeah, we did. We put Blood in the Water out, and we're not able to push it and go tour it and get it out there live in front of the people, which is what you do. You put a record out, you go tour the thing and push it and sell some merch for it and try to make enough money to do the next record or to pay
Right,
for the next tour or and we weren't able to do that. And it kind of drove us nuts. I mean, we had the chance to sit around and take our time writing another record, but Blood and Water was a great record, a lot of great songs. We didn't get to tour the thing.
right, right.
That was kind of a pain sitting around going, wow, is the music industry just done now? The wonder of what's going to happen next.
Mhm.
That was kind of weird to go through, but for the most part, we just kind of slightly enjoyed the time off just to write and take our time and be lazy about it.
Fly helicopters and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right, let's talk about the MTV days. Obviously, they haven't played music in God knows how many years. It's probably going on 20 now, but I don't want to date myself. But back in the day, you guys obviously came up where it was, this is going to be the first song off the album. Got to make a video for it. This is the next song. Got to make a video for it. That seems to be going away or has gone away. What's your opinion on that? Did you enjoy the making videos days? Or do you think they're kind of hokey and like you didn't really want to do it to begin with?
I love making videos. My family has been in the music and movie TV industry for my whole life, and I've been in that lifestyle forever, and I just love making videos. I love the process of making them. I don't always love to see myself in them when they're all done, but I love the process of making it and doing all the camera crap and the lighting and set building and all that crap. I That's kind of my thing. Um, but there's definitely no MTV anymore. I mean, I guess YouTube is the next MTV, so um, there's nothing you can't find on there.
Right. No, that's and then some for that matter.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about the human condition. It's another project you're involved in. Are you guys still an active band? Are you guys still putting out stuff?
We are an inactive back burner band. Some of those guys I haven't talked to in a long time, but Wiley and I, every time we get together, we always kind of give each other that, we're not done with this, right? Eventually, we're coming back to this thing, and then we don't talk for another half a year or whatever, and then the next time we see each other, we're like, we're still gonna do this eventually, right? So it's it was a lot of fun. Wiley's an amazing guitar player and a super cool guy. We had a couple of other guys that we were jamming with for a while who are local around here who are super. The main thing about that band was we didn't want any assholes in the band. We wanted it to be all cool people that like to do the same crap, that like to hang out. There's only four of us, so we weren't, very limited as to this guy won't do this and this guy won't do that. It was
Right.
just a fun thing. We wanted to have more fun at rehearsal than we do at the shows.
Hmm.
And me and Wiley wrote some songs that were pretty cool. We didn't actually do a pro recording of them, but we did some some non-pro recordings of them.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to revisit those eventually.
So there's no plans for anything from you guys yet. Let's say.
No, we kind of put it on hold because Flotsam was busy at the time, and Sacred Reich came back and started getting busy at the time, and we are just like,
Mhm.
you know what? Let's go concentrate on our other stuff, and we'll come back to this when we have time. And it just hasn't lined up yet that Wiley's not busy and I'm not busy, you know.
Right. So what about Flotsam? Is there any plans for tour in 2025? Are you guys actively writing again for another album or?
We have enough songs left over from the last two. We could probably do two more records.
Oh wow.
So it's a matter of revamping some of those, going through, making sure we're happy with every aspect of them,
Mhm.
and we probably have a record ready to go. Um, that's not going to stop the guys from writing. They would rather just write a whole new one and leave those in a trunk somewhere.
Sure.
But they're all cool songs. They all need very little to be up to I Am the Weapon standards, I think. So, um, yeah, we're definitely not going to quit anytime soon. I think we'll probably end up we'll stop touring at some point. I'm going to have to get a lot older before that happens, but we'll stop touring at some point. But I don't think we'll ever stop recording records as long as somebody's willing to pay for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I just had a question. I just had another question in my head and I lost it. I no, I remember what it is. I'm sorry. I had a little brain fart there. So you said you had enough for probably two more albums. Do you think that was part of like that whole pandemic era where because it seems like a lot of bands kind of just sat down and focused on nothing but writing and had a lot of material come out of it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, you know, if you're stuck at home, what else are you going to do? Um, that's the pandemic thing had a lot to do with it. I mean, when we when we did the End of Chaos, those guys sent me like 40 songs,
Oh, wow.
and I'm listening through them. The ones that caught my ear the quickest, I wrote something to that, sent it back to them. They'd say yes, no, whatever. This part's dumb, whatever. And I would just go through all these songs, and as soon as we got an album's worth, I just kept going. The next one that hit me, my ear right, you know. And we used whatever 11, 12 of those for that record, and then we revamped a few of those, wrote another 25, 30 songs for the next record.
Wow.
um yeah, Steve and Mike are getting so fast at writing songs. I think part of it's because they, you know, they have all the tools in their studio. um you know, they're each using some kind of cool uh drum app of some kind for their Pro
Mhm.
Tools, so that's the getting the beat in there is nice and easy. They get their riff out of their brain onto recording, and then it's just a matter of, you know, filling in the pieces. You throw some bass track on there or whatever, and they're getting so fast at that that I would, you know, I'd email those guys and just say, hey, it's time to start writing. You know, we're gonna be going to the studio pretty soon, whatever. And the next day I'll have 5 songs, 2 from one of them and 3 from the other one. And I'll dive into those, get some lyrics on them, whatever. Before I get the second, third one done, I got another 5, 7 songs from those guys. So they're getting really fast at it, and they just have a really good ear for riff and what sounds good and what's, you know, too, I don't know, too childish or too simple or too whatever, you know. Um, a lot of times the simplest riff is the coolest one as long as it's in the right progression, you know.
Sure, absolutely. So now,
So
when it comes to writing lyrics, do you have like a notebook full of stuff that you've written over the years, or is it kind of like you play the song and something just kind of hits you?
I have some stuff that I refer to when I'm in the middle of a song and can't think of something. I'll just go back and look at some crap I've written in the past. But for the most part, I close my eyes, listen to the song, and figure out what kind of feel it gives me.
Mhm.
Um, what does this song sound like to me? Is it a political thing? Is it a horror thing? Is it, what is it? And if I can't figure something out, I start with whatever name they gave it to me with. So they'll send me a song and it'll say, seventh string or something. And next thing you know, I've got a song called whatever, the seventh seal, which is turned into a whole big old religious thing because
Oh wow! All right.
I looked up seventh on Google and that's what came up, and I was just like, cool, I'm gonna write a song about this. So it's different every time. Sometimes I'll hear a song and it instantly I get a whole story in my head or a whole idea of what this feels like, and I go with that. If I can't get anything real clear, I just use whatever name they gave me and run with that. So it's kind of weird.
I just think that's fascinating to me. Just talking to vocalists, how they write their lyrics, um, just how they write on feel. They can just they hear the first part of the song. Oh, I got it. I don't think I could ever do that. I mean, I've never tried, obviously, but yeah, that always fascinates me.
It's
How
it kind of sends you at least in a direction. So if a song sounds very triumphant, that's gonna set a different set of lyrics in your head. If it sounds very dark and evil, that's gonna set a different set of lyrics in your head. So it's all feel to begin with. You might end up with something that doesn't fit the feel at all, but that's where you start with.
so you got a pretty good imagination, and I would imagine your imagination's probably pretty sharp.
Well, I imagine I'm really good and handsome sometimes. So yeah, I got a good imagination.
So let's get into the Extreme Music Awards. We have this thing up here. It's January 11th, Empire Live in Albany, New York. The 2025 Extreme Music Awards. We started this thing to honor the music that wasn't getting its just due. It seems like it was always either miscategorized or just flat out shunned. So Mike came up with the idea to just, we're going to do our own, and we got five guys together, and we honor the genres that usually get overlooked or shunned or misrepresented. How did you get dragged into Mr. Bittner's web of insanity?
Well, uh, Bittner and I have been we've been pretty close since before he joined Flotsam,
Mhm.
and he's just one of those good guys. You just can't say no to him. Not that I would anyway. I love doing this kind of crap. It's fun. So I Bittner's just a great dude, and when he asks you to do something, you just do it. Plus, there's a lineup of all stars playing that a lot of them I've never played with before,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of respect coming from me to a lot of these guys I'm playing with on this thing. So, and I figured Ellison's a good friend too. If he is into doing it, that's good enough for me.
I just had the chance to sit down last 2 weeks ago probably and talk to him. He is a good dude. He's definitely good to talk to. You're also presenting the award for best vocalist at the show.
Yep.
Um, so to say that the winner is being handed their award by someone they may have been influenced by or even idolized for that matter is an understatement. Is that going to be a rush to you to be able to present it to somebody thinking that like kind of giving him that him or her I should say that charge of being handed the award by Eric AK from Flotsam? I mean that's
That's definitely a nice little ego boost for me. It's, one of the, since there is no money in this industry, it's definitely one of the cool payments. So I'm gonna enjoy it for sure. Um, if somebody winning or at least nominated wants to think of me that way, that's just even more of an ego boost for me, which is fine. I like to pamper myself once in a while. So it's really nice to be asked to do it to begin with. Um, you would not believe how many lists on Facebook or whatever, and they don't mean anything, but there's all these lists of, you know, who's your favorite metal vocalist, and there's all these guys on there, and my name is never on the list, never. After a while, you just like, wait a minute, I have 15 records out. I'm not a slump. Why is everybody missing my name off of there? So that crap kind of bugged me for a while. So when I get these little ego boost things like this, it really is good payment for me.
Yeah, I don't understand it either because obviously, like I said before, you have a very distinctive sound in the metal community, and Flossam's. I think Flossam's been probably one of the most underrated bands as far as metal goes. Um, I don't know. It's always been a staple in my collection for sure. But yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that.
You know who also gets that is like Todd La Torre from Queensryche. I
Yes,
never see him listed in any of those, and he's an amazing singer.
unreal, unreal, absolutely. So you mentioned it earlier, but one of the best parts of the show, aside from giving these guys their just due, is the All Star Jam at the end. There's going to be lineups up on stage that are it's probably I mean some of the biggest names in metal for sure, but the combinations that we're going to see that night is like a once in a lifetime thing. You're probably never going to see that combination on the same stage again. Um, and you said you're excited to be involved in it. Do you have anybody in particular looking forward to seeing or playing with that night? Without giving anything away, because I know the set list is a pretty well guarded secret as of this point, anyways. But we want that element of surprise where it's like you know kind of who's going to be playing, but you don't know who's going to be playing with who, and you don't know what songs are. And the list of songs is all over the place, and it's awesome. And I can't wait to see it. So, do you have anybody that you're looking forward to either performing with or even just kind of hanging out with that night?
um, yeah, actually, there's a lot of them, but mainly because a lot of these guys I either have just met once or I really don't know at all. But um, it's always fun to play with Gary Holt. I've hung out with him backstage in many places.
Mhm.
Um, Dave Elfson's a good friend, so he'll be somebody I can sit and chat with, and we have some kind of history. I've done probably 250 shows with Megadeth, so there's a lot that I've been through with Dave, so that'll be cool. Bill Bodley from Flotsam's going to be there, so there's always people I can hang with, but there's some of these guys I've never even seen their band play, so that's going to be exciting to me to see them on stage and to be jamming with them, and that's I always love adding new things to my repertoire of crap I've done through my career. So this is going to be a big one for me because there aren't any bands of any of these guys that I'm doing this All Star Jam thing with that I haven't at least heard of or have. Either I've heard them or I've heard of them, and I know
Mhm.
that they're um, a big deal. So it's always a cool thing for me to add that to my list. Oh, I jammed with this person, I played with this person, and I know these guys are all super pros too, so I don't have to worry about the band screwing up a song or it's sucking or anything. It's just going to be the whole vibe of the thing up there is going to be the exciting part, because there's a lot you don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about them screwing it up because they're all pros,
Mhm.
and I don't have to worry about somebody being out of tune. I don't have to worry, that's the cool thing about working with guys who are in the top of their field is there's a lot less worries. You can concentrate more on being cool and being good and being, being creative.
So, all right. So I do this with everybody that I interview. I call it the rapid fire five. I throw five questions at you. You got to answer them as quick as you can. Um, a couple of we may have gone over, so there may be repeats, but we're just gonna
I
we're gonna bang them out real quick. All right. The
I'll
first
answer
one
them as
is
quick as I can, but
all right.
my brain's pretty slow. So
That's okay. That's quite all right. What was the name of your very first band?
Pegasus 2,
All right. What was the very first gig you guys played together?
the Mason Jar on the 4th of July, 1983.
The one album you could never live without.
Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind.
Favorite rock and roll moment of all time.
Ooh, wow. I'm gonna say favorite rock and roll moment. I'm gonna say in the back of a limo with Joey Ramone doing cocaine.
That's dude. That's one of the best answers I've heard. That is so cool. All right, the final one, and this one's usually the hard one to answer. What was your biggest onstage oops?
Oh, wow. There's been a lot of them. I'm kind of a klutz live. Um, I'm going to say in the middle of singing No Place, I had to cut one line out because I threw up in my mouth and had to swallow it again so I could finish singing.
Yeah,
That was that was pretty nasty.
that's a pretty bad one. That's for sure. So finally, just a couple more for you. Putting the whole music world aside, what does a day off look like for Eric AK? Do you have certain hobbies other than the helicopter and
Yeah,
flying helicopter?
helicopter thing's kind of expensive, so I don't get to do that very often.
Right, right, right.
But I record a lot. I work on my vehicles. Really, not a lot. Throw the Xbox up once in a while. Do some op six or something on there. Uh,
Do you have a pretty big vehicle collection, or
what?
do you have a pretty big vehicle collection?
I don't. They're all crap, but I've got, I don't know. Until recently, I have had about 6, 7 vehicles. They're all crap I've been working on. I got a '96 Camaro convertible, and I just sold my '03 Corvette, and now I've just got crap cars that have 300,000 miles on them. I'm trying to keep running. So
That definitely takes up a lot of time. All right, final question. What does your music collection look like? Do you have a lot of do you collect vinyl, CDs, cassettes? Is it all digital now? What does your music collection look like?
I've got some cool collectible vinyls, 2 or 3 big boxes of them, probably. I haven't looked at in forever. The only vinyls I have in here is my Flotsam collection. So um, I have about the same couple big bins of CDs. Not any big, huge, ridiculous collections. Just stuff that I'm too pig-headed to get rid of. And other than that, streaming services are my best friend all day, every day. So
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way. Instead of keeping bins around, you just click on. Like you said, you can find whatever you want on YouTube. So
right,
it
and
makes
I don't want to be the only one um, that's giving their crap away for free. So I listen to everybody else and make them give their crap away for free too.
Absolutely. If I got to do it, then everybody else does too.
Right, damn it.
All right, man. We made it to the end, man. I can't thank you enough for taking your time out to hang out with us today. And I'm definitely looking forward to shaking your hand at the Music Awards, January 11th, 2025, at Empire Live in Albany, New York. It is going to be a blast for sure. Get your tickets now. They are going. They are almost gone. I'm not going to lie to you. They are almost gone. So get them now while you can. You're definitely not going to want to miss this.
Oh, it's gonna
Is
be it's gonna be so much fun, man.
100% absolutely no. Is there anything else that you want to tell the folks before we wrap it up? I got a bunch of links here I can read for you, so you don't have to worry about those.
No, just if you can come on down to the awards show, it's gonna be a blast. The group of guys getting together playing is gonna be so much fun, and I'll probably be drunk and fall down at some point.
Well, we'll pick you back up. That's what the metal community does. We pick you back up, right?
That's right. I don't have to worry about it because I know people will take care. They'll at least slide me out of the way so people aren't stepping on me.
All right, you guys can check out Eric AK and the rest of the Flotsam boys doing their thing. Facebook at Flotsam and Jetsam. You can look at Eric's page. It's at on Facebook at Eric.AK.921. Instagram is FlotsAK at FlotsAK. FlotsTillDeath.com is the old interwebs. You can check that out. And make sure you search out Flotsam and Jetsam on YouTube, Spotify, and all your other available streaming platforms. And if you see something out there, buy it. That's all. And
Sure.
anything Flotsam, just buy it, and we'll get Eric a new car. How's that sound?
Or you can message me and I'll sell you some crap I have.
There you go. Or you know what? Even you don't have to get rid of your stuff. Just send Eric your money. Just
That's
send him
even
your money.
better.
Just see. Here's my Venmo. Just send me what you want.
That's
Sure.
even better.
Listen, brother. Again, I appreciate your time, man, and I definitely look forward to hanging out with you on January 11th at the Music Awards. And take care, man. I can't wait to see you.
Right on, brother. Thank you so much.
All right, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric AK from Flat. Thanks, Eric.